What a great crowd. Could we just hear it again for Senator Lindsey Graham? That's what an amazing leader and friend making South Carolina proud. And how about Governor Henry McMaster, everybody? Strong and steady leadership. And Congressman William Timmons, Jeff Duncan, Ralph Norman, three great conservatives in the Congress. To all my fellow Americans from near and far, it is great to be back in the Palmetto State. Just 7 days away from a great victory all across South Carolina and all across America when we re-elect President Donald Trump for 4 more years. Come November 3rd, let's show America that upstate and all of South Carolina are Trump country. I want to thank you all for being here. I really do. You know, 4 years ago, you believed we could be strong again. You believed we could be prosperous again. You said yes to President Donald Trump in 2016, and we need the Palmetto State to say yes to 4 more years of President Donald Trump in 2020. And I know you will, because of all we've done. I mean, it's amazing to think about how far we've come since South Carolina said yes to this president. I mean, think about it. 4 years ago, we inherited a military that had been hollowed out by devastating budget cuts. Sounds like he knows we're winning. But think about how far we've come, everybody. 4 years ago, we inherited a military hollowed out by devastating budget cuts, an economy that was struggling to break out of the slowest recovery since the Great Depression. Terrorism was on the rise around the world, and we witnessed a steady assault on our most cherished values. But in 3 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We secured our border, supported law enforcement, and stood for life, liberty, and the Constitution of the United States of America. It's incredible. You know, and it all starts with our national defense. The Constitution says providing for the common defense is the first object of the national government. And you all deserve to know that when Joe Biden was vice president, we were enduring years of reckless budget cuts to our national defense that hollowed out our military. But under President Donald Trump, those days are over. With the strong support of these allies in the Congress, I'm proud to report to you that we've rebuilt our military. President Donald Trump has signed the largest investment in our national defense since the days of Ronald Reagan. We're finally giving our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guard, and Space Force the resources and the support they need to accomplish their mission and defend our nation. Senator Graham was kind enough to mention the fact that as your vice president, the highest title that I hold is DAD. And I'm the proud father of a United States Marine and the father-in-law of a Navy pilot. And I couldn't be more proud to serve alongside a president who cares so deeply about the men and women of our armed forces and their families. It's true. And it's not just about those who serve today. It's about all of you who served in the uniform of the United States. And I think I know South Carolina well enough to know there's a lot of heroes in the room. If you served in our armed forces, would you just either stand or put your hand in the air and give us a chance to thank you one more time? Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. God bless you. Heroes all. But you all deserve to know when Joe Biden was vice president, America saw years of scandal at the VA that shocked the conscience of the nation. I mean, we literally had heroic veterans that were dying in waiting lists and waiting lines to get into the VA. But President Donald Trump, working with these great conservatives in the House and the Senate, including a 33-year veteran, Colonel Lindsey Graham, we passed the most sweeping reforms of the VA in 50 years. We fired more than 3,000 employees at the VA that weren't giving our veterans the care they deserve. And Veterans Choice is now available for every veteran in America. So we've stood with those who serve and those who served. But on the economy, in our first 3 years, after Joe Biden spent 8 years trying to tax and spend and bail and regulate us back to a growing economy, President Donald Trump created the greatest economy in American history. It's true. It's amazing to think, and Governor, I know you can't believe this any more than I can. In the midst of a global pandemic, Joe Biden wants to raise taxes by $4 trillion. And he's got this $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal. Remember the president had to remind him of that in the first debate? Seems like he forgot he was for it. President Trump, we cut taxes across the board for working families and businesses. We rolled back more federal red tape than any administration in history. We fought for free and fair trade, unleashed American energy, and businesses created 7 million good-paying jobs, including 140,000 jobs right here in the Palmetto State. I mean, in those first 3 years, wages were rising at their fastest pace in 10 years. And what maybe meant the most to the president and me. So wages were rising most rapidly for hardworking blue-collar Americans. The forgotten men and women of America were forgotten no more. Which is quite a contrast from the last administration, wasn't it? I mean, when Joe Biden was vice president, America actually lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. And the last president said those jobs were never coming back. You remember? I heard he's out campaigning in Florida today. 4 years ago, he was saying manufacturing was jobs, those were gone for good. He actually said, "What magic wand do you have?" Well, we didn't need a magic wand. We just needed President Donald Trump in the White House. 500,000 manufacturing jobs created in just 3 years, including 22,000 right here in South Carolina. I'm telling you. I mean, South Carolina isn't that different than Indiana, where I'm from. I always say States like ours, we do two things well. We make things and we grow things, right? And the truth is that you have a president that understands that and has been fighting every day to open up the world of trade to what we make and what we grow. I mean, when we came into office, half of our international trade deficit was with one country, Communist China. And Joe Biden's been a cheerleader for Communist China all along the way. He actually said the rise of China was a positive development. Well, maybe for China. He actually he scoffed last year when he was running for president at the idea that China was even competition for the United States. Under President Donald Trump, we put China on notice. We said the era of economic surrender is over. We imposed tariffs on China and we'll keep standing strong until they open their markets to what we make and what we grow and respect the private property of Americans and American businesses. The same goes for NAFTA. I mean, you all remember NAFTA. In the 25 years after NAFTA was signed, we literally saw factories across the heartland shuttered by the thousands, and jobs moved south of the border and moved overseas. Now, Democrats like Joe Biden love to complain about NAFTA all those years, remember? But they never lifted a finger to do anything about it. But when the man who wrote The Art of the Deal stepped into the Oval Office, America got a way better deal. NAFTA is gone, and the USMCA is here. It's a win for South Carolina and a win for America. Now, you all deserve to know that Joe Biden's running mate, Kamala Harris, I had a little debate with her a couple weeks ago over in Salt Lake City. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I tried to point out in that debate, Kamala Harris was one of only 10 senators to vote against the USMCA. She said it didn't go far enough on climate change. I mean, the USMCA basically leveled the playing field for manufacturing in this country, opened up markets for our agriculture to the north and the south like never before. But Kamala Harris voted against it. I mean, she put her radical environmental agenda ahead of South Carolina jobs and South Carolina workers and South Carolina farmers. And I promise you, when it comes to trade, President Donald Trump will always put America first. And on health care, you all remember the disaster of Obamacare, right? Yeah, I do. I was actually in the Congress when they foisted that on the country. Remember, they said if you like your doctor, you can keep him. Wasn't true. They said if you like your health insurance, you can keep it. Wasn't true. They said health insurance premiums would go down. Actually, when we took office, health insurance premiums had doubled under Obamacare. And during the debate the other night, and how well did President Trump do in that debate the other night with Joe Biden? Am I right? But Joe Biden actually in that debate said not one single person lost their health insurance under Obamacare. Well, actually 6 million Americans with individual policies lost their health insurance. And now Joe Biden's got a plan to import what he calls it a public option, but it's government-run health care into Obamacare, right? He wants to export the worst parts of Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All and drop it right in the middle of Obamacare. That would threaten the private health insurance of 180 million Americans, and it'd set us on an inexorable path to socialized medicine. But under President Donald Trump, we repealed the individual mandate. We lowered the cost of health insurance for small businesses. We cut the cost of prescription drugs. We passed right to try. And with President Donald Trump in the White House for 4 more years, we will lower the cost of health insurance without growing the size of government. And America will never be a socialist country. Men and women of South Carolina, we have a choice to make. 7 days to make. As the President said up in Michigan today, really, it's a choice between a Trump recovery and a recovery that's happening all over America as we speak, all over South Carolina. I mean, you got the new GDP numbers coming out this week, and I don't know what they are, but buckle up. You're going to see the resilience and strength of the American people in this great American comeback. Man. So the choice really is, it's between that V-shaped Trump recovery and really a Biden depression. I mean, there's this nonpartisan study just came out that said under Joe Biden's economic policies, America would lose 5 million jobs. And the average household income would be reduced by $6,500 a year. So every day for the next 7 days, I want you to find somebody that's undecided, who knows you and trusts you. And say, I ran into Mike out at the airport. And he just wanted me to ask you one serious question. Just look at him. As America's starting to stand back up, we're starting to recover this nation. Look him in the eye and say, seriously, who do you really think can bring the American economy all the way back? A career politician who spent 47 years in Washington, D.C., raising taxes, stifling our economy under an avalanche of government and economic surrender, or a proven job creator that saw 7 million jobs created and is going to keep cutting taxes, rolling back regulation, and fighting for American jobs? For the great American comeback, we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. So it's been about our national security. And every day it's about our economic recovery. But it's also about the rule of law, which begins with law and order. I couldn't be more proud to serve alongside a president who has stood every day with the men and women who serve on the thin blue line of law enforcement. President Trump and I know what you know. When people put on the uniform of law enforcement every day, strap on a sidearm, kiss their families goodbye, they basically are deciding every day to count our lives more important than their own. All my heroes wear uniforms. In fact, you know what? There's a lot of law enforcement around here today, all good people. Would you just mind showing them how much you appreciate the job they do to protect and serve our families every day? That's great. We do back to blue. We back our heroes. We back our heroes. Like Greenville County Sheriff Deputy Sergeant Conley Jumper. Sergeant Jumper was a 28-year law enforcement veteran. And in those nearly 3 decades of service, he earned 2 Distinguished Service Awards, had a profound impact on the lives of so many in this community. And as you all know, and I learned on the way here, 1 week ago, he lost his life in the line of duty. But I am deeply humbled and profoundly honored to be joined here today by his wonderful wife of 25 years, Sarah, and their daughter, Catherine. Sarah and Catherine, we say to you, South Carolina and America will never forget or fail to honor the life and service of Sergeant Conley Jumper. God bless you. Thank you for honoring us with your presence here today. Proof positive in the life we just celebrated and the incredible family. Men and women who serve in law enforcement are the best of us, and they deserve the respect of every American every day. Now, Joe Biden and his running mate often say they think America is systemically racist. And worse still, they both say that they believe that police officers have a, quote, implicit bias against minorities. When Joe Biden was asked if he'd support cutting funding for law enforcement, he replied, yes, absolutely. And Kamala Harris recently praised the mayor of Los Angeles for cutting $150 million out of the LAPD. I'll make you a promise. President Trump in the White House for 4 more years, we're not going to defund the police. Not now, not ever. We're going to back the blue. And we're going to back the blue for 4 more years. And let me be clear on this point. President Trump and I know what you know. We don't have to choose between supporting the courageous men and women of law enforcement and supporting our African American neighbors or other minorities or families that live in our major cities. Under President Donald Trump, we funded 4,000 new police officers through the COPS program. We launched Operation Legend that's already arrested more than 2,500 violent offenders in cities across our countries this past summer. And at the same time, in our first 3 years, we saw the lowest unemployment ever recorded for African Americans. Working with Senator Tim Scott, we created more than 8,000 opportunity zones in cities around America. We passed criminal justice reform. We funded historically black colleges and universities. And we've been fighting to give parents in our cities the right to choose where their children go to school. So we'll keep supporting our police of every race and creed and color, and we'll keep supporting our African Americans and all of our minority families. And I promise you, with 4 more years of President Donald Trump, we're going to have law and order in every city, in every state in this nation, for every American of every race and creed and color. So help us God. But law and order all begins with the rule of law. And I'm proud to report to you, standing here today, President Trump has already seen confirmed more than 230 conservative judges to our federal courts at every level, and they are all principled men and women who will uphold the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution, like the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, and the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. And that includes Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Isn't she great? It's just amazing. What an inspiring person. Got to know Judge Barrett a few years back when she was a finalist on the last round nominations. I'm a little bit biased, as my friend said, because she happens to be from the state of Indiana. But she's been an inspiration. And I believe is now and will continue to be an inspiration to young women across this country interested in pursuing careers in the law. Just like the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a trailblazer. She broke ground for women in the law. I have every confidence that Judge Amy Coney Barrett will inspire an all-new generation. I know she's inspired a member of the rising generation in my family, a recent law school graduate, who I couldn't be more proud of. Would you mind just saying hello to my daughter, Audrey Pence? She is an amazing young woman. And she's going to do amazing things. Thank you for that. You know, and of course, I don't have to tell all of you here in South Carolina. More than 230 federal judges on our courts at every level, including 3 justices on the Supreme Court, would not have been possible if it weren't for a man who has been a stalwart, courageous, principled leader, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the United States Senate, Senator Lindsey Graham. I can honestly say I was for Lindsey Graham before it was cool. He and I got to know each other when I was elected to Congress a while back. And I told him, I remember back in the day, I got acquainted with him on C-SPAN, and I've been a fan ever since. But you all saw him. The way he stood strong and helped move the confirmation of Justice Neil Gorsuch. The way he fiercely defended Justice Brett Kavanaugh. You know, I just heard Lindsey say that his opponent's saying that he ran because of the way you handled the Kavanaugh hearing, but I agree with Lindsey. Lindsey Graham's going to win because of the way he handled the Kavanaugh hearing. And he topped it off yesterday by leading the confirmation of Justice Amy Coney Barrett. He's an incredible champion of the Constitution of the United States of America. The rule of law has no greater champion than your senator. So right after you re-elect President Donald Trump, we need South Carolina to re-elect Senator Lindsey Graham for 6 more years in a landslide. But Senator Graham already knows, and you deserve to know. After 150 years of 9 judges on the Supreme Court, leading Democrats in Washington, D.C. are talking about packing the court. Now, that means adding seats on the Supreme Court so they can appoint activist liberal judges to advance their leftist agenda from the judiciary. I mean, I was watching this weekend, and surrogates of the Biden campaign were saying they were open to it, including members of the Senate. And AOC just tweeted today, expand the court. Now, first, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris refused to answer whether they were going to pack the court. I tried to get Kamala to answer that question in our debate. No luck. Then Joe said that he would tell us if he was going to pack the court after Judge Barrett was confirmed. Well, now he's saying it's a live ball. And he's not going to tell us if he'll pack the court until months after the election. Come on, man. The American people deserve a straight answer, Joe. When you're running for the highest office in the land, you ought to be willing to say whether you'll respect the highest court in the land. But you know, look, we all know what's going on here, right? I mean, I was born in the morning, but not yesterday morning. I mean, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to pack the court with liberal, activist judges if they win this election. It's one more reason why we're not going to let it happen. We're going to re-elect President Donald Trump, and we're going to send Lindsey Graham back to the United States Senate in a renewed Republican majority. It's that important. Because this is really about protecting our liberties and protecting the things that matter most. I mean, you know, when Joe Biden was vice president, we actually saw a steady assault on the religious freedom of Americans. I mean, through government action, they eroded the conscience rights of doctors and nurses and religious charities. They actually hauled a group of nuns who had taken a vow of poverty into federal court to force them to compromise their faith to live under the standards of Obamacare. It's incredible. And a leading Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, when Judge Barrett was being confirmed just 2 years ago, showed that same antipathy toward religious liberty. She said she was concerned because Judge Barrett was sincere about her Catholic faith. She said, quote, "The dogma lives loudly within you." And Hollywood elites have been attacking Judge Barrett ever since. Well, I got news for the Democrats and their friends in Hollywood. That dogma lives loudly in me. That dogma lives loudly in you. And the right to live and work and worship according to the dictates of our faith lives loudly in the Constitution of the United States of America. I mean, there's a reason they call the freedom of religion our first freedom. I mean, a casual understanding of the American founding would tell you what was most important to the people that founded this great republic. And I'm proud to report under President Donald Trump, we restored the conscience rights of doctors, nurses, and religious charities. And we ended the assault on the little sisters of the poor, and the Supreme Court of the United States made it permanent. Under President Donald Trump, we're going to stand strong for the freedom of religion of every American, of every faith. So help us God. It's that important. And finally, I must tell you, of all the things this president's done, of all the promises made and promises kept, I couldn't be more proud to be vice president to a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life. Now, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they support taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. And they're calling for a record increase in funding for abortion around the world and the largest abortion provider in America. President Donald Trump, in our first days, he restored the Mexico City policy that prevented any tax dollars from being used to promote abortion around the world. We've supported the Hyde Amendment to prevent the use of taxpayer dollars to support abortion here at home. And President Trump signed into law a bill that allowed states to defund Planned Parenthood. President Donald Trump is the most pro-life president in American history. So in our first 3 years, if you're taking notes, we rebuilt our military, revived our economy, stood for law and order, liberties, and life. And let me say, none of that would have been possible without the strong and consistent support of South Carolina's Republican delegation to Congress. It's true. They're stalwarts, every one. So when we re-elect President Donald Trump, just like I said about your good senator, I need to ask you one more favor. We need South Carolina to send Congressman William Timmons, Jeff Duncan, Ralph Norman to a new Republican majority in the Congress of the United States and retire Nancy Pelosi once and for all. Out. I was in the Congress the last time we retired Nancy, and I intend to be around when we do it again. You know, when you look at all we were able to accomplish with a Republican House and a Republican Senate in those first 3 years, there's only one way you can describe it. We made America great again. Right? And then the coronavirus struck from China. But before the first documented case of community spread anywhere in America, President Trump did what no American president had ever done. He suspended all travel from China, the second largest economy in the world. Now, Joe Biden called that xenophobic. He also called it hysterical. He literally wrote a couple days before the president made that decision in January that suspending travel in a global pandemic would, quote, make things worse. Which is no surprise because when swine flu, H1N1, was striking our country in 2009, when Joe Biden was vice president, they refused to shut off the border to Mexico. And 60 million Americans became infected. But I can tell you, today, as the head of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, I can tell you personally, President Trump's decision suspending all travel from China saved untold American lives because it bought us time to stand up the greatest national mobilization since World War II. It's true. We reinvented testing. We forged a seamless partnership with states across the country. We saw to the production, the manufacture, and the distribution of billions of medical supplies, the development of new medicines and therapeutics that are saving lives every day. And under this president's leadership, we are just a short time away from having the first coronavirus vaccine in the world with tens of millions of doses for the American people. But we've all been through a lot, and I promise you, we're going to continue. Thank you. It's been my great honor. We're going to keep protecting the vulnerable. We're going to keep making sure our incredible doctors and nurses have all the supplies and resources that they need to give anyone the level of care that we would want a family member to have. We'll keep developing life-saving medicines and vaccines until the day we put this coronavirus in the past. And while Joe Biden is talking about shutting down our economy, we're opening up America again. It's amazing to think, as it's a testament to the resilience of the American people, to the foundation we poured in those first 3 years, and to the unprecedented recovery and relief aid that Senator Graham and this great delegation supported for families and businesses. We had lost 22 million jobs at the height of this pandemic, but we've already seen in 5 months 11.5 million Americans have already gone back to work, including 320,000 people right here in South Carolina. We're opening up America again. And we are opening up America's schools. And it's a tribute to the people of this state, the sacrifices that we've all made to put the health of our family and our neighbors first. It's a tribute to the incredible doctors and nurses, healthcare providers, and first responders. It's a tribute to people working at every level of government and this president. But I also have to say, it is also a tribute in South Carolina to the strong, steady, compassionate leadership of Governor Henry McMaster. Governor, thank you for your leadership in this challenging time. Do you join me in thanking Governor McMaster? I've worked with him every day, and what a good man. So we passed through a time of testing, but I expect you all showed up today because, like me, you know we're coming to a time for choosing. The choice in this election has never been clearer. The stakes have never been higher. I mean, when you look at their agenda, higher taxes, open borders, socialized medicine, a Green New Deal, defunding the police, packing the courts, abortion on demand, it's clear. Joe Biden would be nothing more than a Trojan horse for the radical left. Now, Joe Biden says that democracy is on the ballot. Well, I think our economic recovery is on the ballot. I think law and order are on the ballot. But I also truly believe that there are things much more foundational to who we are that are on the ballot as well. I think in this election, it's not going to be so much whether America ends up more Republican or more Democrat, more conservative or more liberal, more red or more blue. I think the choice in this election is whether America remains America. Whether we're going to chart a course in the future based on our highest ideals of freedom, faith, family, free enterprise. Or whether we're going to let Joe Biden and the radical left take us on a downward path to more government, less freedom, more dependency, socialism, and American decline. So let me say, men and women of South Carolina, for all the ideals that have always made this country great, for our freedom that's at the foundation of who we are, we need to decide right here and right now that Joe Biden will never be president of the United States. We're going to re-elect President Donald Trump for 4 more years. It's on, South Carolina. It's on. And we got 7 days to get it done. You know, when the president called me and asked me to join this ticket 4 years ago, I really didn't know him that well. But we've gotten to be very close friends. I mean, we talk early when we're traveling, sometimes talk late, and sometimes talk in between. And when we're both at the White House, we literally spend hours together every day. And I can tell you firsthand, against unprecedented opposition and resistance by the Democratic Party, against relentless attacks by their allies in the national media, there's never been a day gone by that President Trump hasn't gotten up and fought to keep the promises that he made to the people of South Carolina. Now it's our turn to fight for him. You with me? You got to stay in the fight every day, every hour between now and when the polls close. So I got a couple things I want to ask you to do before I jump back on that plane and head back to North Carolina. First and foremost, I checked on the way here. Early voting's already started, right? So just every bit as soon as you can, I want to ask you to vote South Carolina, vote to re-elect President Donald Trump to the White House. Vote early. Get it out of the way. Karen and I just voted back in Indiana last week. The president cast his vote. You just got to go get it done. And if you need any help, I checked. You go down to the Greenville County Square, 301 University Ridge, open 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And remember, friends don't let friends vote alone. Bring a family member, bring a friend, bring a coworker, and vote to re-elect President Donald Trump. Get it done. Secondly, after you vote with a friend, and can I just vote to re-elect Senator Lindsey Graham again? I got to say it again. Vote to re-elect Senator Lindsey Graham and all these incredible members of Congress. Get it done. Fill it out. The next thing I need you to do is go talk to somebody. You know, I really do believe what happened in 2016 is happening again. Because in 2016, you know, there were only two kinds of polls 4 years ago. Ones where we were losing by a lot, and ones that we were losing by a little. And it's pretty much the same right now, right? But I got to tell you, we're seeing enthusiasm around this country that is greater today than it was in 2016. And I think it's because the American people are talking to each other. We're talking about everything that we accomplished for this country, how this president literally kept every promise that he made to the American people. Talking to one another about how this president has led decisively through one of the most challenging years in my lifetime. And we're talking about the choice in this election. So that's what I need you to do. At worship and at work. Just say I was out at the airport, I ran into Mike, and he got up there, and he and Lindsay and the governor, they talked for the better part of an hour and a half, just about everything. We've done everything that's important, because I really believe the most powerful media in this country is not your big TV networks, it's not your newspapers, it's not even your social media. It's word of mouth. When someone who knows you and respects you hears from you about an issue that you think is important to them and their family. So go and talk to them about why you came out today. Talk to them about what we've accomplished. And I know we'll deliver a great victory all across South Carolina and all across America. I truly believe it. And finally, after you vote with a friend, and after you spend the next 7 days talking to them about this president, talking to them about your senator, talking to them about these great congressmen, what Republican leadership can mean with 4 more years. I would just say, if you're inclined to bow the head and bend the knee, next 7 days would be a good time to do it. Okay? I mean, as I've traveled around this country, I have to tell you, I'm absolutely convinced of 2 things. America's a freedom-loving nation, and America's a nation of faith. I hear about it all the time. I was just in North Carolina earlier, and one person after another just took a moment to say to me, I'm praying for you. And sweetest words we ever hear. And so I'd encourage you to pray in these divided times in the life of our nation, where it seems that there's more that divides us. You might just remember to avail yourself of that great wellspring of American strength. And when you pray with confidence. Claim those ancient words that Americans have clung to in much more challenging times than we could possibly imagine. That if his people who are called by his name will humble themselves and pray and turn, that he'll do like he's always done through the long and storied history of this great nation. He'll hear from heaven, and he'll heal this land. This one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So pray for America. Pray for all the American people. It'll make a difference. I leave here today with renewed confidence. I really do. I'm really not used to this big of a crowd. And I can't wait to call him and tell him about it. I really can't. And he's going to say to me, well, Lindsey Graham is really popular in South Carolina. But I want to thank you for coming out. I'm very humbled by your support and your encouragement for us, for the team. And I just know, if all of us do everything we need to do between now and a week from today, we're going to have a great victory across South Carolina and all across America. And with Senator Lindsey Graham back in a Republican majority in the United States Senate, with Congressman William Timmons, Jeff Duncan, and Ralph Norman in a new Republican majority in the House of Representatives, with President Trump back in the White House for 4 more years, and with God's help, we will make America great again. Again.